The voice of sharing during ASEAN.
ASEAN Dailies. First and foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hello and welcome to DurianASEAN.com, the voice of discovery and sharing. And you're with me, Gowri, on a Friday morning. And it seems that my colleague will be running a little late today. So I'm just going to go ahead and start sharing some news with you from Malaysia and, of course, all over Southeast Asia. And hope all of you are having a very good Friday morning, whether you're at work or you're driving to work. Hope you have a good day. Hope everything goes the way you want it to be. And moving on to Malaysia, starting off with our MH370, which has been missing, to be precise, for 327 days. And of course, we don't have much of a lead when it comes to what happened to MH370 specifically, and the plane is still missing, and we don't have any solid physical evidence to actually back up any of the statements that has been said by our Prime Minister or by other search parties as well. And the ones that are suffering the most from this is, of course, the victims of all these families. The family members of all these victims, because they have been waiting for an answer for so long. It's been almost 1 year since the plane went missing, and every month they've been waiting, every day actually, for something from our Prime Minister, something out of the press conference, or something from the search parties that have been searching in the ocean. But it seems they are quite positive about moving on, because they wish the authorities would, of course, keep them in the loop and update them of any new findings that they find. But there are also some families who, although some are willing to accept the fact that the crew and passengers are indeed dead, but there are also another group of families who are saying that I don't think it's right to declare that the crew and passengers are dead, because we don't know what happened to the plane, and the fact that when we say it crashed in the ocean, that is only an assumption that we made, that all the authorities made as well, because the plane couldn't be found anywhere else. But it's not something that you can say with utter conviction, because there's still been no sign of any debris, any parts from the plane, or any body found. So kind of doesn't make sense also for the family members to just believe that their loved ones are gone, and that they're all just dead. And there's also this woman, Jaquita Gonzalez, who said that for 10 months now she has been waiting for her husband to come back, and she has stepped in as the rock to her family, and to also provide support for the other family members. And she said that the DCA's announcement that all those on board were presumed dead was much too much for her to bear. And she said, they can declare my husband dead, but I am not giving up on him. And she also added that they should have been informed first about the press conference that was supposed to be held in Putrajaya, but instead they were actually not informed about it. And that's why she went on to say that we are the next of kin, and if they don't tell us first, who did they actually tell first? They deserve to know more than anybody else. And there are a lot of other family members who are also expressing their dissatisfaction, and also appealing for understanding from all the relevant parties, especially from the people holding the press conferences, to inform the family members first if there is any lead, any update at all. And hopefully they will remain patient and find the answers that they're looking for. The disappearance of MH370 has also been declared by, an accident by the Department of Civil Aviation, the DCA. This is according to the Director General, Dato Azharuddin Abdul Rahman, who said in a statement on Thursday, just yesterday, that after 327 days and based on all the available data that they have received, the survivability in that area is actually, it's very, very unlikely, and it's very possible that all the 239 passengers on board have actually lost their lives. But of course, they will still carry on the aircraft aircraft investigations, and they are also. He declared that Malaysian Airlines is ready to proceed with the compensation process with due regard to the next of kin. And of course, this plane was it went missing on March 8th last year, and 239 people on board are presumed to be dead. And there was supposed to be a press conference scheduled yesterday at 3:30 p.m. From which the family members were not informed, but it was cancelled anyway. We are still waiting for an update on this to see if there's going to be another press conference by the DCA, by Malaysian Airlines, or by our Prime Minister themselves. Hopefully they speed things up, because there are a lot of people waiting for answers. And moving on to Philippines, we have President Aquino, who declared a National Mourning Day. And this National Mourning Day is, of course, for the 44 Special Action Force Commandos, or the SAF, of the Philippines National Police, who were massacred in an encounter with the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, the MILF. And the president, who came up with this message, said that these commandos were risking their lives because they were running after the notorious Zulkifli bin Hir alias Marwan, who is actually, he's believed to be a Malaysian member who is linked to Al-Qaeda, and also this Jama'ah Islamiyah, and Basit Usman, a Filipino bomb expert, according to this news. And if there's any definition of a hero, this would be it. And of course, they risked their lives for the sake of the people, and they were brutally killed. And the president went on to say that as a president, as a father of the country, it's very sad to know that there were lives lost among our policemen in this mission. And going back to MILF, President Aquino is also counting on MILF to cooperate in the pursuit of truth and justice for the Maguindanao clash, while refusing to give up on the peace process in Mindanao. On the other hand, a group of retired and active generals is seeking an independent investigation on the Maguindanao carnage, as well as surrender of MILF rebels in the clash with the PNP SAF. And the PM also said that he's hopeful that the MILF will show at the soonest time possible, because he wants everyone to work together in pursuit of truth, of accountability, and also those responsible. And he also said it's only reasonable for them to step in, and this is also in order to avoid the repeat of the incident. And this tragic disaster also, while it happened, of course, it is a huge tragedy for the country itself. And the president also called on to the people to not forget what has happened and what is happening. And he also went on to update that the status of the MILF forces as a combatant force that considers the government forces as its enemy is real, and this is shown in the assassination that took place. And we are going to take a short break from here. When we come back, continue with ASEAN Daily with more news from Southeast Asia.
ASEAN Dailies. First and foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hello and welcome back to DuranASEAN.com. You're with Gowri on this Friday morning, and I'm bringing you news from all over Southeast Asia on our ASEAN Daily segment that takes place every morning at 8 o'clock. So to continue from where we left off, we're going back to Malaysia for a bit, where we have cops raiding a cartoonist office. And yes, this is happening in Malaysia, and the police apparently raided the office of the satirical cartoonist Zunar and seized 149 copies of his books. And the city CID chief, Senior Assistant Commissioner Zainuddin Ahmad, said that his officers arrived at Zunar's office at 10:30 a.m. yesterday to take his statement, but Zunar was actually not available because he's away in London. And they seized a lot of his books for investigation, and he is being probed under the Sedition Act. And Zunar, whose real name is Zulkifli Anwar, had tweeted saying that the police are in my office looking for me, but I'm in London, so they're taking all my books. And he also said that the police particularly were quite insistent on getting two of his books, which is Pirates of Caribbean and The Conspiracy to Imprison Anwar. And these two books actually prompted the police to charge him under the Sedition Act. But he went on to say that if these cartoons are indeed slanderous, those who feel aggrieved should file a civil suit. And that's not a problem, but he doesn't want people to be using the laws like the Sedition Act, because he is openly against the Sedition Act and think that it should not be used in this country at all. And so that's just a little update. We're waiting to hear more about what the cops think about these cartoons. And it's very interesting because this Sedition Act is an ongoing discussion in this country. Should we have it? Should we not have it? Of course, there is one party that thinks that it's best to have the Sedition Act because in a way it protects the harmony in the country. It scares people in a way and prevents them from from coming up with hate speech or spewing racial slurs. But there's also another part of the country that believe we are mature enough to respect each other and to preserve the harmony in this country without the use of any Sedition Act, and that is that the Sedition Act is absolutely unnecessary because it was something that came about during the colonial period back when the British were still here, because they didn't want the locals to stand up and question what they were doing. But things are different now. This is our own country, and we live here, we respect each other, we're all Malaysians, and there should be no Sedition Act standing between us, because I would agree that we are all mature enough and we can think for ourselves, and as long as we respect each other, there is no reason for anybody at all to come up with any hateful speech towards each other. There's been a lot of calls to repeal the Sedition Act, and although it was promised by our Prime Minister he was going to repeal the Sedition Act, in which he said on at least 2 occasions, but that didn't happen. And in fact, he has come out to say that they are actually maintaining the Sedition Act, and they are going to keep it because it's one of the effective ways to preserve the harmony in this country and to maintain the peace between all the different race groups in Malaysia. So it looks like this act is here to stay, and we have a lot of people being charged under this act. And another problem with it is that it also stifles the freedom of expression when it comes to giving a speech, when it comes to writing music or drawing cartoons. or even staging a play, a theater, or anything at all. When it comes to expressing what you think or what you feel about the country, people should be able to do it openly without being bogged down by any fear of the government. But with the Sedition Act, it usually meddles with these matters, with the freedom of the people who are trying to voice out what they really feel, or what they think, or even their hopes and visions for the country, or the kind of Malaysia that they would like to see, which they have every right to say, because this country belongs to us, and at the end of the day, it's up to us to look out for it. And moving on to Bangladesh, we have an overloaded fishing trawler carrying migrants to Malaysia that sank in strong currents off the coast of Bangladesh, with 10 passengers missing in the country's latest maritime accident. Seems that boating accidents are actually pretty common in Bangladesh, and the officials have also said that more than 95% of the country's small and medium-sized boats do not meet the regular safety regulations. And Bangladesh's Coast Guard and border forces have also launched crackdowns on economic migrants, arresting human traffickers, but there's been no noticeable impact so far. And we have this trawler that sank, and the emergency workers has rescued 32 Bangladeshis so far in the Bay of Bengal, but there were up to 70 passengers on board when it capsized. So several others have made it to the shore, but we're still waiting to hear from the rest. And this group of people were, of course, attempting to make a very dangerous journey to Malaysia, which is a very, very common destination for thousands of Bangladeshis and also ethnic Rohingya refugees from Myanmar. And they were heading to Malaysia by sea, and they were doing it illegally, which is, of course, very unsafe when you take a boat across the ocean, and lives can be lost, as it did happen in this case, because they were actually going on a 3,200 kilometers journey. But as we all know, of course, many of them do not always land a safe, secure job when they come to Malaysia. They are often oppressed, they are physically abused, mentally abused, and some of them even land in the hands of the human traffickers who are trying to make money out of it. And speaking of abuse and refugees, it seems that the Rohingya refugees also say that the traffickers in Malaysia abuse and kill them. And let's find out more what they have to say. So Abdul Qasim, who is a Rohingya asylum seeker, was snatched from his home in northern Malaysian state of Penang on January 12th. And the next morning he was found beaten and bloodied and also dead. And that day the police actually moved on this 40-year-old's alleged killers. They raided a few houses in Penang, in Kedah, and they managed to save up to 17 Rohingya migrants who were being held against their will. And the police quoted in the local media saying that Abdul Qasim's killing was likely to be connected to a money dispute. And there is also a Kuala Lumpur-based Rohingya leader who declined to be named, said that these crimes are difficult because it can be due to power and due to a feud between the traffickers themselves in northern Malaysia. And such cases also include abduction, murder, and some of them, of course, are just being sold to other countries so the traffickers can make money. And some of these traffickers, in this particular case, they took Said Noor, who is aged about 30, and held him as a barter for the cousin Harun for about 50,000 ringgit. And several months later, it seems Said turned up dead, and his body showed signs of torture and mutilation. And in early 2014, actually, the traffickers caught up with Harun, and they were telling him they they told him to leave town, and when he refused, they actually just went on to kill him. And this seems like something that is really getting out of hand in Malaysia, particularly in the northern states, because it's the easiest way to bring all these migrants and these workers in. When it comes to human trafficking, there's been a lot of efforts in Penang itself, and also in KL, in all the major cities, people trying to reach out, the NGOs, all the cops trying to reach out to the people, giving them tips on how to recognize these people who are being abducted, people who are trafficked, and they are urged to, of course, report it to the police. But it's not something that can be done very easily, because when it's just it's hard to tell whether these people are being abducted or whether they're traveling on their own will, unless we actually see signs of struggle. But the line of people is getting longer, and the list is huge. We have such a bad track record when it comes to human trafficking, when it comes to even human rights. And in response to this, it seems that Indonesia and Nepal has actually came out to say that we might stop sending workers to Malaysia, which may not at all be a bad thing for their country. In fact, it could affect Malaysia even more badly than it would affect their countries itself, because we are the ones who are actually really, really dependent on migrant workers to come in here and work in our construction sites, to build houses, or to be kitchen helpers, house helpers. So if this does happen, it would affect us more than Indonesia and Nepal itself. But this statement actually came out in line with Malaysia saying that they want to hike the visa fees for the recruitment groups, recruitment agencies in Indonesia and Nepal. And in Indonesia, the increase of 230 ringgit in processing fee for the entry visa was imposed last month after Malaysian authorities outsourced this service to a private company. So that seems to be the issue here, where they had to outsource it to a different company, and that company is insisting for a rise, for a rise in the cost. Indonesia actually comprise about 70% of the estimated 2.8 million foreign workers in Malaysia, who are mainly working in the construction, plantation, and manufacturing sectors. And Malaysia, Vietnam, and Nepal, which had been operating within the Malaysian embassy, was ordered to close after it was found to be charging an additional 3,200 rupiah or 116 ringgit to process these visa documents. And also a local recruitment agent said that the cost of bringing in workers from Philippines had also shot up, although the visa fee stayed the same as 600 ringgit. Because of this, Malaysians are preferring to hire Filipino maids, and Filipino maids are forced to fork out an additional 360 ringgit to bring them here. So Indonesia and Nepal has actually responded to us saying that they will not be sending any more workers, so we have resorted to Filipino maids now. And we'll see where this one goes, if they're really going to stop, and if they do, how will that affect Malaysia. And before we take another short break, a little update on Indonesia, where sadly they are ready for the execution of the 7 people who were part of the drug smuggling gang. It seems there has been a lot of appeal, especially in the context of human rights, to not to President Jokowi to drop this and not go ahead with executing the 7 people, because when it comes to the death penalty, it's something that is very sensitive, because it's one person taking the life of the other. And no matter, a lot of people have came up to say that no matter how grave the mistake was, death penalty is not the way to go about doing it. And of course, despite his image as a reformist, he has disappointed all these human rights activists who had hoped that he would actually mellow down or go a little easier on these drug traffickers, but he insists that he will not show any mercy to drug traffickers because in his country, no compromise, no compromise. He repeats that, saying that he will not compromise any drug-related offense in the country, and he will go ahead and execute the 7 people who was charged. So, gonna take another short break. When we come back, continue with ASEAN Daily with more news from ASEAN.
ASEAN Dailies. First and foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hello and welcome back to Duran ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing, and you're back with Gowri on this Friday morning, and I'm going to continue with our ASEAN Daily, bringing you more news from Southeast Asia. And starting with Malaysia, we have our Foreign Minister, Datuk Seri Anifah Aman, who said that priorities for ASEAN was well received by all the other ASEAN foreign ministers, and they got a very positive response. And this is something that we do have. We need there are a lot of areas that need to be addressed, and it seems some of the main aim, as it has always been, is to focus on the development of the SMEs, or the small and medium enterprises in this region. And he also said that Anifah was speaking to the reporters after chairing the ASEAN Foreign Ministers retreat that happened in Malaysia just a few days back. And some of the other priorities, apart from strengthening the SMEs, of course, Malaysia is also planning to formally establish the ASEAN community to develop the ASEAN community's vision, its attendant documents, and to steer ASEAN closer to the people. To expand intra-ASEAN trade and investment through cross-border investments and trade. And I think I want to focus on what they said about steering ASEAN closer to the people. This should probably be their number one goal right now, because Malaysia is the chair of ASEAN, and there are still a lot of people who are not aware of this. So if they really want to go about their whole theme of our people, our community, our vision, it's not just about the MNCs, or even not just about the SMEs, the small medium enterprises. It's much more important to reach out to the people out there, people in Malaysia itself, and make sure they are aware of ASEAN, and not just the term, but what it means and what ASEAN can do for us as individuals, and how we can benefit from the AEC, which is also another agenda that is set to take place this year. And Anifah also said that he had shared the priorities with other foreign ministers during the meeting. And of course, in steering ASEAN closer to the people, he said Malaysia is intending to create more opportunities for the greater engagement of people by convening several events. So these are some of the events that they are going to have throughout the year, and some of it is the First Lady Summit, the ASEAN Young Leaders Summit, One ASEAN Entrepreneur Summit, and the ASEAN Cultural Expressions. And this is to get more people on board, more individuals to get involved, and so they can experience firsthand and get firsthand information on what ASEAN is all about. And moving on to something a little more controversial, of course, we are talking about the feud that's happening with the South China Sea. And we have we had 3 parties here: the China itself, of course, we had Philippines, and we have Vietnam. But it seems that things are a lot more tense between China and Philippines itself. These 2 countries are really going at it. And the ministers from the ASEAN have said that ASEAN should step up and do something about this, because otherwise we will probably have a third party from somewhere else coming in and meddling with our matters in here. And Philippines are quite stern about the demands, and they want China to stop making this massive reclamation demands on all these islands. And China has actually just brushed it off, as they have always been doing since last year, saying that whether it's a big country or a small country, we're all equal in international relations. That is a very diplomatic answer from the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokeswoman, who said that at a regular briefing. But Philippines is quite stern. The Philippines and Vietnam, like I mentioned earlier, have been clashing with China since last year. And it seems that Beijing was trying to construct islands around the reefs in the Spratly Islands, which has also been hotly claimed by Brunei, China, Malaysia, Philippines, Vietnam, and also Taiwan. And this artificial island could potentially hold fortified positions or even warships, which would defend China's claims to the island. So we have some serious issue going on here. Hopefully this can be addressed, and all these ASEAN or foreign ministers from these countries can come together and sit down, have a proper discussion on how to solve it, as opposed to just coming up with statements during briefings or press conference, because it's an ongoing thing and we want it to be resolved as soon as possible. And it seems our inaction, which I totally agree, our inaction on this would undermine the principle of centrality, because we are unable to address this in a unified way. We do have the ASEAN, we have the ASEAN economic community, but if we cannot even solve one issue in our own backyard, that would cause people to be more skeptical about the way we handle things in the ASEAN region, and that is not good for the long run, especially for the AEC 2015, which is very widely talked about. And that is all I have for you guys today. I hope you learned something from the news. And if you want to give some comments, some feedback, you can go ahead and do it on our Facebook page or our Twitter page. Just look for Durian ASEAN. And you can also follow us on Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for all the daily podcast and other programs. You can also listen to us on the TuneIn app on your smartphone if you are nowhere near your computer. So I will be back in a bit. It's Anything Can Happen Friday, and we are speaking to two very interesting people starting at 9 o'clock. So stay tuned to Durian ASEAN.